Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Harry Fling Wrestling. I am your host, Harry Fling. Today we're going to deviate a little bit. We've been talking a lot about WrestleManias and myself rewriting them and whatnot, but today I'm going to introduce an all-new topic here. I don't think it's one that's been talked about as far as somebody talking about it in a video on YouTube is concerned, or just about any other social media platform, wherever the hell the next thing's going to be. But I wanted to talk about a very underrated match type in a sense that you don't see it that often, which in a way could be a good thing, but we'll get into that in a minute. This is Tag Team Turmoil, and I've always loved tag team wrestling since I've been a fan, almost 30 years now, and it's been a rough road for some years watching tag team wrestling because there wasn't a whole lot of emphasis put on tag teams, at least I want to say post-Attitude Era, so mainly Ruthless Aggression era and probably a large part of the PG era too. After we get to PG, I don't know what you call it, the modern era. Wouldn't modern be today, 2025? That's another discussion for another day, but it's not concrete as far as what era we talk about, what era is post-Ruthless Aggression and going down the timeline. So in any event, let's get back on topic here. Tag Team Turmoil, it's a match where it starts out, I think this match can have upwards to as many teams, I think, as one desires. But typically, the best tag team turmoil matches I've seen have 6 to 7 teams in them. Or it could be as little as 4 or 5. So 2 teams start. Let's say we have 6 teams in this one, just point blank. 2 teams start out and have a regular tag team match. Obviously somebody needs to make a decision here. Pinfall, submission, count out, disqualification. First team to score a victory remains in the match while the other team is eliminated, and then the next team comes once the first team is eliminated, and then they battle it out again. And then when the next person on the team to be pinned, they're out, and then the next team comes, and so on and so forth. This process continues until one team remains. So it's a very exciting match because sometimes they will put 2 people together at the last minute or in weeks leading up to this. And this typically takes place at a pay-per-view or premium live event. In this day and age, we call them PLEs now instead of PPVs. So first one actually took place, if my memory serves me right, and I did some research on this, so if there's anything I missed, please post in the comments. SummerSlam 99, we had this tag team turmoil match, and let me look up the participants real quick here. I think there were about like 6 teams in that one, I want to say, but we're going to find out in just a second here. Sorry, usually I have this information right on me, I'm just looking it up right now. We had Edge and Christian. The Hardy Boys also being billed as the New Brood because of their association with Gangrel for that very brief time. Mideon and Viscera coming off the heels of the dissolution of the corporate ministry. Droz and Prince Albert. I believe this was Droz's last match physically on a pay-per-view before his untimely accident. Unfortunately, he passed away, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, not related to his accident in the ring on a SmackDown taping in October of 99. But yeah, this was 2 months before that. Crazy to think we wouldn't see Droz on television much long after this. Then you had the Holly cousins, Hardcore and Crash Holly. Crash had just debuted a week prior, and these were 2 cousins that simply couldn't get along. Then, of course, you had the Acolytes, Farouk and Bradshaw, before they became the APA, also coming off the heels of the recently disbanded corporate ministry. So this match was fun. You had Edge and Christian starting out, and then you had Matt and Jeff Hardy Boys entering next. Okay, sorry, I kind of getting ahead of myself here. Sometimes I speak and it comes out not the way I intentionally planned. So forgive me for that. Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys started this match. Longtime rivals. We could do a whole video on them. Edge and Christian, I believe, get the win here, and then, yes, they get the win, and then Mideon and Viscera come in. And then they were also pinned by Edge and Christian. Droz and Prince Albert suffer the same fate. So we're down 3 teams at this point. Edge and Christian are still hanging in there until the Acolytes come in, and then they finally clean house with Edge and Christian, and they're eliminated. Holly Cousins are the last team to enter, and then unfortunately, they don't get very far in this match because the Acolytes beat them. So There you have it. The APA Acolytes, whatever you want to call them, win the first ever tag team Turmoil, and this was for contendership purposes. There was no tag team titles on the line. I believe it was Kane and X-Pac who defended and lost their belts to the Unholy Alliance of Big Show and Undertaker. Very brief pairing at the time. So, other great tag team Turmoil matches. Or the ones that took place after that, there was one at No Mercy of 2000, which I believe was a Dudley Boys Table Invitational, but it was the same exact rules of Tag Team Turmoil, except instead of pinfall, submission, count-out, disqualification, the only way you could win is putting one member of your team through a table. You did not have to put both members through, if I remember that correctly. So, my favorite, which I'll get into more detail after I go down this list here, is Judgment Day 2001. That was also number one contendership purposes, just like SummerSlam 99's match. Meet the champions next night on Raw or whatever. And I think it would be a while. No, we had one at No Way Out 2002, also number one contendership purposes. That one was okay. Then we had Armageddon 2003, which I believe was for the World Tag Team titles. Ric Flair and Batista were last-minute entries into the match and defeated the Dudley Boys, who had basically almost won the thing. Then he had Backlash 2005. Oh, we were really getting bad tag teams. He had all these random pairings. Oh, God. Let's see. Garrison Cade and Mark Jindrak. No, it was Garrison Cade and Mark Jindrak. I think they were trying to recreate the Natural Born Thrillers. They were in the Armageddon 03 match. Who else is so random? I'm trying to think. He had Rhino and Tajiri. I don't think they were ever in Tag Team Turmoil. The one for Backlash 05 was Regal and Tajiri, but they at least had some history together and had good chemistry when during the latter part, during the invasion anyways, when Tajiri was Regal's assistant to the commissioner or whatever. Get this, and then after the Backlash 2005, we didn't have another one until New Year's Revolution 2007, and I do remember a very bad random pairing of Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Super Crazy. I think this was when Eugene had turned heel, which they shouldn't have done, and Duggan needed a new partner, and obviously didn't win any Tag Team Gold, and he was past his prime at that time, and Super Crazy wasn't doing much of anything of note. Then we'd wait a few years, Night of Champions 2010, that was for Tag Team Gold. Backlash 05 was also for Tag Team Gold, and New Year's Revolution was actually for number one contendership purposes. I think Crime Time won the 07 one, but they never actually got their title shots, so that was all a farce. Night of Champions 2010, I just forgot to mention the other ones that if it was for belt or contendership. Night of Champions 2010 was for the WWE tag team titles. This is when the World Tag titles from Raw, the original ones dating back to 1971, merged with the WWE tag titles that were on SmackDown from 2002 to 2010, and they came together as one as unified tag champs, and finally a physical platinum penny coppered belt, which I hated. Hated those designs. Now the lineage of SmackDown's tag titles is now on Raw, and then SmackDown's got something new. So anyways, Night of Champions 2010, that was for the WWE tag titles. It wouldn't be until Night of Champions 2013 in the kickoff show. It was again for contendership purposes. I remember the Primetime Players won and then got a match later on that night against The Shield, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Gosh, it's amazing to think we've been watching their careers blossom, those two especially. Not so much Ambrose, though. Elimination Chamber 2017. Wow, we waited a good, 4.5 years till we got this one. Crown Jewel 2019 actually had the biggest tag team turmoil. I think 9 or 10 teams were in it. Late 2010 stuff, forget it. It's probably the worst time period in wrestling, I hate to say. It was so forgettable and not a whole lot of great stuff going on. And the last one I saw was one my buddy and I were at in Miami. At the time, what used to be the AAA, American Airlines Arena, where the Miami Heat play, was the FTX Arena, or FXT. I think it was FTX Arena back in 2021. This is only 4 years ago. Now it's something else, but this is Miami, Florida, where the Heat play, and we were in that very arena that night. And that was a tag team turmoil that took up most of the show because of some blatant interference, and that was for, I think, contendership purposes. Matt Riddle, Randy Orton, RK Bro were the tag champs at the time. This is when they were doing the Raw tag belts and SmackDown belts. Hated that too. Jesus Christ, such bad stuff. Um, I'm trying to remember who won that night. I think it was AJ Styles and Omos might have gotten the victory. Then they got a shot the next week on Raw or something like that, but still kind of forgettable stuff. The product's much better now under this TKO branding. But anyways, I want to talk a little bit about my favorite tag team turmoil match, which was Judgment Day 2001. If I can just pull that up here real quick, it's just a Wikipedia page. That was number one contendership purposes. That was the grand prize, I guess, for the winner there. So you get to face the tag champions, who were the two-man power trip. Stone Cold and Triple H only lasted all of 2 months. They were going to defend their belts the next night on Raw. So, in that match, we had the APA, who won SummerSlam 99's Tag Team Turmoil. Whatever was left of the Radicals and Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn. We also had the Dudley Boys. We had X Factor, X-Pac and Justin Credible representing the group. You had Albert as their enforcer / manager. You had the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, who I was pulling for, obviously. And then the Chris Jericho, and at the time a mystery partner, who we didn't know about leading into Judgment Day that year. But it turned out his mystery partner was Chris Benoit. They actually ended up winning Tag Team Turmoil. Chris Benoit pulled double duty that night. He lost a 2 out of 3 falls match with lost to Kurt Angle in that 2 out of 3 falls match, and it was all for Kurt Angle's gold medals. And they always had great matches, Angle and Benoit. My favorite match, WrestleMania 17, Angle-Benoit. We'll talk about that another time. Anyways, in this match, I loved the performances, especially of X Factor and Edge and Christian. X Factor had a lot of eliminations. They got the Hardy Boys out of the match. They got the APA, but they succumbed to the fate of Jericho and Benoit once they got in, because obviously these are bigger stars. Albert wasn't much help. Edge and Christian, they tried, but they were overpowered by the other Chris's, so to speak. In any event, yeah, the action was just nonstop, and it was still a hot tag team division. You had the Hardys, Dudleys, Edge and Christian, the top 3 tier teams. APA were not a far distant second there. They weren't involved in TLC, but they were popular for their mainly for their antics as far as the protection agency. What's the word that I'm looking for? It's their job here. Their business. That's the word. Sorry, is their business. Of beating people up for money. It's their protection, Acolytes Protection Agency. Duh. So, anyways, they were there, and a lot of the teams were great. Even X-Pac and Justin Credible had some nice chemistry. Credible's not entirely a Clique member, but he's like an honorary member because he's a good friend with X-Pac, Shawn Michaels, Scott Hall, even Hunter and Diesel, Kevin Nash at the time. So, yeah, so anyways, that's probably my favorite of the match, and I hope we see more Tag Team Turmoil matches down the line. But let me know what you think, and any other memories you want to share on this one. That's about all I have to cover for this, but we'll see what we do next going forward here. So thank you, everyone. I'm Harry Fling, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.